Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do March's TBR. Someone heard me filming and now he's here to get his 15 seconds of fame. This is Jelly Bean. If you are new to the channel, you don't know that. If you are returning, you already know this channel is all about him. He thinks that it's called the Jelly Bean channel, and all we do is look at how beautiful he is. Look at what a little handsome puppy he is. Although he's not really a puppy anymore. Okay, so I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I've already filmed this, and I have no idea what happened to the footage. So we get to play this game again. I'm going to link everyone's channel down below that I talk about. So to start with, I'm going to talk about the monthly reading challenges. I did not know, but I have been participating in 2 reading challenges on YouTube. Okay, so the first reading challenge is from Chantel at An Intentional Life, and she has this website called the Hey Reader, where she has reading prompts, reading challenges, readathons, and all those kind of things. So one of her reading challenges is she picks a different prompt every single month, and unintentionally I've been participating, so we're going to keep participating the rest of the year. For January, it's Book with a Homish Word in the title. Mine was The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Then for February, it's Red on the Cover or Spine, and for that one I read Clown in a Cornfield. So for March, it's Recommended by a Friend. I have 2 options for this, and we're going to play Gavin's Play Your TBR Right game. So if you haven't ever watched it, I will go over the rules in just a minute. And then the other TBR challenge, monthly challenge, that I had no idea I was participating in, but it just so happens that I am, is the TBR Knockout put on by Completely Melanie on her channel. I'll link everything down below so you don't have to do anything. But the month of January was dark, and the first prompt was a dark word in the title. I read The Night Olivia Fell by Christina McDonald. Then the second prompt is a dark theme. For that I picked 10 by Gretchen McNeil. And then for February, the theme was Valentine's Day. So the first prompt was Has a Romance in It. I read Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. And the second prompt was Pink or Red on the Cover. So for that one I picked Clown in a Cornfield. For March, it's St. Patty's is the theme, and it had, the first prompt is luck in the title or about something lucky, and the second prompt is green on the cover or spine. I have 4 books that are not going to be in this round, but that have to be added to my TBR. So this first one is House Rules by Jodi Picoult. I have already started it. I've made it a good dent into it. But I'm buddy reading this with a friend on Facebook. And we should be done with it next Thursday, which will be into March. So that's kind of the end of February, the beginning of March read. But we have it scheduled so we read 50 to 100 pages a day. Right now I'm at page 150. And then this one, this chunky book is House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. I finally got to participate in the Literally Dead book club, which is the book club that Kayla from Books and Lala puts on her channel. And she picks horror thrillers that everyone reads, and then we get together on a live show and talk about it. The live show hasn't happened for When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole, but I read that in February, so I'm ready for that live show. This is the March pick, and our live show should be in April for this. I'm really excited, but I'm terrified. I don't know what this book is about. It's a horror story. There's mention of like a video, and then there are pages where you have to put it in a mirror, and then there are some that are like blank or only have something really small, like a small word, and then there's like glossary pages, and there's a lot of riddles, and it's supposed to be a very intense reading experience, so this is going on my TBR too. Now, let's get into the game and the rules. So, the first 3 rounds are going to be for those prompts that we already talked about. First prompt was recommended by a friend. I want to read both of these, so this is not a very high stakes round of play your TBR right, but I'm hoping to get Amelia Unabridged by Ashley Schoenweker, because this is an arc that came out this year, or this month, in February, and I just didn't get to it because it deals a lot with grief. And when I made my TBR last month, I did not want to read a book about grief. I was grieving myself, so I just slipped on it. But my friend Amanda won this book as well, and she read it. She says it's very sad, it's heartbreaking, and I'm probably gonna be a little crybaby, but I'm excited for it. And then The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith. I am skeptical about this book because I don't like Love at First Sight, and she falls in love on an airplane or in an airport, something like that. But I did read The Chaos of Standing Still last year. That took place in an airport, and I loved that. And this was recommended by Michael. I do want to read this eventually. Then I'm going to put 5 cards up here. We start right here. And, okay, we'll just flip it over. That's a 6. So I can say higher or lower and move on to the next card. And then my goal is to get them all right until this point. And then if I get this one right, I win this book. If I mess up at all, then I get the loser book, or the one that I don't want as much. Because I want to read all these books. I just might not want to read this particular book right now. I get 1 swap throughout this entire game. All of the ones that I want to read are middle grade, because I really want to participate in middle grade March. Except for, I think this round is the only round that doesn't have at least 1 middle grade book. Swap, and I get 1 life. So if, say, I get to here and I lose, but I don't have a swap, or I didn't use my swap, then I can just take this book. And that's my 1 life. I can only use it once, though. Let's get into this game. So it's a 6. So we're going to say higher than a 6. It's a 9. Oh, that doesn't help much. Lower than a 9? It's a 5. Oh my gosh. Higher than a 5. It's gotta be higher, right? Oh, it's a king. So, I don't know if I mentioned this, but ace is the lowest and king is the highest. So, I'm going to say lower than a king. It's an ace! Yes! Okay, so the first book, well, I guess not the third book, but the first round, I won, so I get Amelia Unabridged, which is the arc that I'm a little late on reading anyway. And then this round is for the TBR Knockout. It is about luck and books that have something lucky in them. So the one that we want is The Butterfly Jar by Jeff Moss. It is a middle grade poetry book, and butterflies are a sign of hope. They are lucky, so it counts. And the one we don't want this time is The Fortunes of Indigo Sky by Deb Calatini. This is about this waitress who gets a $2.5 million tip that changes her life. So I'm pretty sure that's pretty lucky. Round 2. This first card is a 2. It's a 2. It's higher than a 2 because there's only one card lower than a 2. So it's a king. We're going lower than a king. Okay, it's a 6. I'm going to say higher than a 6. It's an ace. Okay, so I lost. The Fortunes of Indigo Sky is the book I'm choosing for the TBR Knockout of a book about something lucky. The green spine, this one has green on the confetti, and this one is just purely green. So, the one that we want to get is Isle of the Lost, a Descendants novel by Melissa de la Cruz. This is evil trees and bad apples, and it has like some of the best Disney villains, and it just sounds so good. I'm not even gonna lie, I might use if I lose, I might use my life for this. And the one we don't want this time is Windfall by Jennifer E. Smith, mostly because we want to participate in middle grade March. I've never been able to do that, so I would love to. I can say lower than a jack, which is a 5. Higher than a 5? Okay, so it's a 5 again. So when there's a tie, I pick this top card, and we're still hoping that it's higher than a 5. Oh my god, 3 5s in a row. So I guess we do it again? Okay, so it's a 10. I'm going to say lower than a 10. It's a 6. Ooh. I'm going to use my swap. So, for my swap, I'm taking a 2 instead of a 6, and I'm going higher. It's a king! Yes! So I got Isle of the Lost by Melissa de la Cruz, which is like a fairy tale retelling with Disney villains. Now we're going to get into middle grade March. Now we're on round number 4. Both of these are middle grade, so they would both work great for middle grade March. But the one that we want is The Haunting of Hounds Hollow by Jeffrey Salin. This is small town mystery with haunted house and ghost dogs. The one we don't want as much is A Dog's Life by N.M. Martin. I honestly would be happy with this one. It's the autobiography of a stray dog. It's probably going to be really sad, but this one is quite a bit shorter than that one. The other one sounds better, though. Is a 8. We're going to say lower than an 8. Oh, it's an ace! Okay, so higher, because aces are the lowest. So that's a 9. Ooh. So do I go lower again? Lower. Lower. We're going with lower. Ooh, it's a 5. I'm going to say higher than a 5 for the last one. Oh, it's a 4! Dang. So I got A Dog's Life by Anne M. Martin. The first few rounds are both going to be middle grade for both options. And then the last few rounds are going to be one middle grade versus one adult or YA book. So we're going to continue with the just middle grade. So either way I win because I just want to read middle grade books for middle grade March. But we are going for Horizon by Scott Westerfield. This one is The Haunting of Sunshine Girl by Paige McKenzie. This one is a ghost story. The first card is a jack. We're going to say lower than a jack. It's a 4. We're going to say higher than a 4. Oh, it's a 2. So I got The Haunting of Sunshine Girl. This next round is another round of survival against ghost story. I'm just more in the mood for a survival story, so I'm sorry. We're rooting for Tomorrow Girls Behind the Gates by Ava Gray. The losing book is The Collector by K.R. Alexander. Alright, the first one. It's a 2. Say higher. It's an 8. Higher than an 8. It's an ace. So I lost. So I got The Collector by K.R. Alexander. The last 6 rounds that we have are going to be one middle grade, which is the one we want, against one that's not a middle grade. So this first one, we really want scary stories to tell in the dark. And we're pitting it against Imaginary Girls by Nova Ren Suma. This is a YA thriller, I think. So the first card is an 8. We're going to say lower than an 8. Lower. It's a 3! Higher than a 3. We're saying higher. It's an 8 again. Higher. Lower. Higher. We're going higher this time. Oh my gosh, it's a 9. We're going to say lower than a 9. Lower. Oh, it's higher. Okay, so I got Imaginary Girls by Nova Ren Suma. Okay. And then we have 2 poetry collections that I really want to read. We're rooting for The Red Pencil by Andrea Davis Pinkney. I read this last year and I loved it. However, if we got this one, it wouldn't be that bad because this one's a lot shorter. And the only problem is it's adult. It's just like poetry. It's not like middle grade poetry. So it's You Only Love Me When I'm Suffering, poems by John Lupin. First card is a 2. Okay, so it's obviously going to be higher than, not necessarily. We're going to say it's higher though. Oh, it's a king. Okay, so it's lower than a king. It's a 10. Oh, I'm going to say lower than a 10. Oh, it's an 8. Is it higher or lower than an 8? We're going to say lower. Pencil by Andrea Davis Pinkney, which is another middle grade. For this round, we are hoping to get I'd Tell You I Love You, but Then I'd Have to Kill You by Allie Carter. It's a middle grade spy boarding school book. And the one, if I lose, I will be reading Catch Me If You Can by Frank W. Abagnale. So the first card is a king. So I'm going to say lower than a king because king is the highest. Okay, it's a 9. Lower than a 9. Ah, it's a queen. Dang it. I should have gone with my gut. So I get to read Catch Me If You Can. We are wanting to get Escape from Mr. Lemoncall's Library by Chris Gerbenstein. It's going up against Women Who Read Are Dangerous, which is another nonfiction about women who read. First card is a 3. I would say higher than a 3. Higher. Ooh, okay, it's a king. Lower than a king. A 3. Higher than a 3. It's a jack. So I'm going to say lower than a jack. Oh my gosh, it's a joker. So a joker hasn't come up, but I forgot to mention that jokers are basically wild cards. So if I get a joker, say, since it was a jack and I said lower, that means this is now an ace. It is either the lowest card or the highest card. So I won! Oh my gosh. I get another middle grade. Escape from Mr. Lemoncall's Library by Chris Gerbenstein. I still have a life left too, so if I lose, I can just automatically say that I get this book instead. The one that we're hoping to get is Everything You Need to Know About Nightmares and How to Defeat Them by Jason Segall and Kristen Miller. Illustrated by Carl Kowalski. So Jason Segall played on How I Met Your Mother, and I just really want to read something he wrote. Plus, for the Hey Reader-a-thon, I'm reading a book by Neil Patrick Harris. So it would be really cool to read Jason Segall and Neil Patrick Harris books like around the same time. And the one it's going up against is The Return by Rachel Harrison, which is a thriller. Oh, the first card is a jack. Okay, lower than a jack. It is an 8. Low. Lower than an 8. It's a 5. Low, higher. I mean, statistically, it should be higher. Higher. We're going higher. I knew I should have gone lower. I'm using my life. I thought about it. I'm going to read Everything You Need to Know About Nightmares and How to Defeat Them by Jason Segall and Kristen Miller. And our last round is we want Cinder and Ella by Melissa Lemon to win. This is a twist on Cinderella, although on the back it says this is the true story of Cinderella. And it's going up against Dangerous Angels by Francesca Block. My friend Michael said that this was really good after I bought it, and I don't remember what it's about. I think it's like a fantasy. That's why I pitted it against a fairy tale. Okay, so our first card is a queen. I'm going to say lower than a queen. I'm going to laugh because it's going to be a king. Ah, okay, it's a 5. I'm going to say higher than a 5. So it's a 9. We're going to say lower than a 9. Okay, so it's a 3. Higher. Yay! I won Cinder and Ella by Melissa Lemon. Okay, so this is my March TBR. There are 14 books, and 8 of them are middle grade, so I should be able to just, like, breeze right through the middle grade. I'm actually really excited. There are a lot of these that I really, really wanted. There are 2... Okay, there are 3 middle grade that didn't make it on here that if I have time, I will be reading. But this is my TBR plus one more book that Michael has to pick for my book club with Michael and Amanda. We pick different books every single month to read. This month we actually read 2. But now Michael has to pick a book for March. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to me.